Okay folks, today we are upgrading our slide on our SIG P365. So we purchased a brand new slide, okay, which is a lighter weight, also has a cut for a optic ready. We actually have our extractor here, our extractor and our extractor pin. We also have here, this is our striker safety. That actually goes right in the center. That striker fin safety prevents that striker from moving forward once the slide, unless the triggers are released. And we have a new set of sights, and these are suppressor sight, front and rear sights, so they're a little taller. Of course, we got our spring for our actual extractor, and we have our actual firing pin, our striker assembly. This is for our sights to put our front and our rear sights on. That's our sight pusher, and then of course we have our back plate for our SIG. So this is about a half-hour install. Once we complete it, we'll show you the slide. So one of the first things we're gonna do is we have our pin, okay, from out of the pack. So I just use our hammer and I just tapped it down. Now what actually happens is this extractor slips in here like this. So you see how that fits in? However, this spring and this little insert, you have to put this insert into this spring. Okay. So I'm trying to do this with one hand while I'm holding this camera, folks. That goes in. So that goes right inside of that channel. Then we'll put our extractor in. It's gonna fit inside this channel. And then what we're gonna do is, and that gives it the spring pressure. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our extractor in, and you put the tail in first, drop it in, then we're gonna drop our pin down, and that's what holds that extractor. If you can see that hole in the center, that's where our pin goes within that hole. All right, we'll show you once it's done. Okay, folks, that's done. Like I said, that was about a 5-minute exercise. However, one thing you want to make sure with this extractor is, with the punch, you want to make sure that it's indented a little, but not so far. You want to make sure that this is nowhere near this channel where the slide goes back and forth. So you should be able to see the punch, but you want to make sure it's not obstructing this channel. Okay, next we have our striker safety, and this comes with a spring, and it literally goes in like this. I'm gonna try this here one-handed. All right, you're gonna line it up with that spring, and it's gonna go straight into this hole. And you want to make sure that what this does is this prevents that firing pin from moving forward. Okay, so once that, we'll show you once we put the firing pin assembly in there, spring loaded. Okay, so that's gonna prevent that from moving forward. So when you push this in, you're gonna push it down, and you wanna make sure on the inside of here, I don't know if you can see it, you probably can't, this needs to be flush up against the wall. Okay, so I can't do it with one hand, but we're gonna do this install and we'll show you. And then we're gonna put our striker assembly in there. That's gonna lock this in place. See, we have that in there in a perfect orientation. If you look, it's spring loaded. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our striker assembly and we're gonna push that straight in, and that's gonna lock in. That's gonna lock in the striker safety, so preventing that from actually moving. All right, folks, we have our back plate, which you can see, the gold, and we have our striker assembly. And you can see me holding down because remember, look at this, spring loaded on that firing pin safety. So what all I'm gonna do is take that firing pin and stick it straight in, holds it. Now to get this back plate on with this firing pin, it's a little gap in here and you can't see it. So here, what you have to do is, I'm gonna take my flat screwdriver and I'm gonna move this to the side and push it in, because it's a little cut up in here. that's preventing this from moving forward. At the same time, I'm gonna have this back plate and slide it up as I move that in. And that locks in our firing assembly. Okay folks, here we go. We have our striker safety in. Okay, so what happens is, if I push this down and pull this forward, that's your firing pin. That's what is what strikes your primer in the little hole you can see. And this prevents, as long as that trigger's not pressed, from this firing pin moving forward. And we put our back plate on. Okay, and last we're gonna install our sight. So this is SIG's tall set, or what they call the super tall set, and this is the X-ray sight. So this is a good day-night size. So we're gonna get our sight tool lined up and slide these sights in. Okay folks, here we go. Front and rear sights. Let me see here. Well, let's look at it like we're gonna be looking at it. Get that in focus there. Okay, so last but not least, we have our recoil spring, and we have our new barrel. We have our Truth. Okay, this is a match grade barrel for the SIG 365. So we'll put that slide on and take it for a test. Okay, there we go, folks. Got our True Precision barrel. All the rest are our SIG parts. Okay, I could not find a gold-plated recoil spring, so I'll still be on the lookout for that. We're gonna throw a Hollison 507K on here for the slide, so we'll be able to co-witness through that red dot. Part 2, we're gonna do the bottom assembly. So we purchase different components for the frame. But there we have it. Okay folks, welcome back. Today we're going to be replacing our magazine catch on our SIG 365, our magazine release. Okay, and this is a pretty simple process. I'll walk you through it. Okay, first thing we're going to do is make this firearm safe. Okay. And what we're going to be replacing is this magazine catch. So I'm going to tell you a little bit, show you the 3 components that make up this, so you can understand what you're doing as we're actually knocking this out. Of course, you have your magazine catch, and it also has a spring. And this spring goes right into that slot. And what happens is, with this spring, is a spring loader. So as you push this, there's a little tab on the inside which that spring catches, which allows you to push it in, push it out. Okay, most importantly though is, let me see, I don't know if you can see this little tab. And what this tab has is, let me see, it has a little cut in it that allows you to push up and push out. So what happens is, when this is on the assembly, it fits in with the tab facing forward and it locks in place. So essentially what you are doing is, and we're going to show you with the Allen wrench process, is a hole. And what you're doing is, you're sticking this Allen wrench through this hole, you're applying pressure, and that pressure is lifting up this tab when you're going to work it, so you can work it out and slide it. So let's show you. All right. As I push on the side of the magazine, you see this little hole? There's a little hole here. And I'm taking my Allen wrench as I push in, and I'm placing it inside of that hole. And therefore it's going to allow me to wiggle, 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 wiggle till we push in pressure and then lift up. Okay, that's one method. I'm going to show you an easier method from just doing this. So one of the things I use is one of my watch screwdrivers, little tiny head on it. Okay, and it's literally the same process. I'm going to push in on this side, hold this in. Instead, I'm going to take my little screwdriver and I'm going to push it right on that. I'm going to push it right on that end into that gap. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm moving that end down, get good grip, and I'm going to push it out the other side. Just like that. Okay, a lot easier. And there's our spring. There's our catch, and there's our little piece. So this is our old, and we're just enhancing this with an enhanced model. OEM SIG part, color enhanced. Putting it together is just as simple. Putting it back. Now this is excellent for those individuals also that are left-handed and you want to be able to switch your mag assembly so the button could be on the actual left-hand side versus the right-hand side. So, okay, and what we're going to do is, let me get you a better angle so you can see it. I'm going to put my hand in here to hold this in place. So, essentially what I'm doing is I'm sliding this in. As you can see on the inside, I'm going to use my finger to guide it to keep that spring from moving. But once you get that spring tension in there, you got to kind of jiggle it to get it to work right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our spring on. And I have my hand already in place. Okay, so I'm going to try to guide this in here. Keeping my spring, and what that spring is adding tension. There we go. Alright, now we have that in place. What we're simply going to do is we're going to take that little tab and we're going to make sure that the part that you push up is facing out. And we're going to slide this in till you hear the click. Got it in place, click, done. There's our spring load for our magazine. Simple procedure, just take some time. Take your time with it. When I first start doing this, I lost a spring. So it's a simple procedure, but take your time, spring load. We'll put our slide back on. Alright, there she goes, folks. And let's give her a test. Alright. We're going to slide our magazine in and slide it out. Clips in place, drops out. Alright. Again, we're going to make sure that's clear. That's our magazine catch. So next we're going to be replacing our takedown lever and our slide stop. And there also are enhanced SIG OEM parts, but to finish up our black and gold thing. Okay, folks, we're back, and in this episode we're going to be removing our fire control unit from our grip. Today we're going to be replacing our takedown as well as our slide stop, as well as our retaining pin. So let's get started. Alright, first thing we want to do is we're going to take out our retaining pin. And it's a pretty simple process. I'm just taking my punch. As you can see, the pin in. Usually you can just push this straight in. You may need to, if it's really tough and you haven't removed it before, maybe really tight, you may have to just take your nylon hammer to bang on it. So we're gonna work on removing this. Alright, that's simple. See, it comes out the other side. I prefer taking this out on the right hand side, and one of the reasons is there's an actual retaining clip in here. if you remove it sometime from the left side, it may take out that clip, and you just have to reinsert that clip. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pull that out. That's a old retainer pin. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to lift up on this and just push it straight back. Okay, and that takes out our FCU. The key now is to take out this slide catch. So in order to do that, we need to, let me see, remove this pin. However, we're not going to remove this all the way. I don't know if you can see it, but it's almost like it has two steps on it, a high and a low. The reason we don't want to remove this all the way is because this keeps in our slide catch. You see that little pin there? If you take this all the way out, you're going to lose this, which means then we're going to have to reassemble it, make it a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little pick here, and the goal is to move this second half just up even with this. Okay, so that's what we're attempting to do with this pick. Move it up just so it's even. Let me see, I need to get in there. We don't want to do it too high. Okay, we got it. Alright. A little higher. Okay, so we've got it here. You see the second level? Now it's even. So that's going to allow us then to wiggle out this bar. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. We've got that out where we need it. We can actually leave that right there. Okay, that's going to allow us then to take out our catch. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to load this back in the same way it came out. Okay, straight in. And a little bit of angle. Here we go. There we go. Making sure that that is even with the other end. So we got our catch in. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the slide catch. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to wiggle this up and shake it on out. There we go. We got it. We have it. Alright, our new one goes in the exact same way. However, we actually got this spring out. You see this little spring here? This catch has to catch onto that spring. So what you do is you got to lift this up though. So I take my little hook and I'm going to lift this up. And then I'm going to stick that end in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down, turn this around. Make sure I have this orientated the correct way. And make sure, okay, we're still on camera. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this spring down. Okay, hold on here. Let me see if I get my other hook here, my angle hook. Yeah, that's a little better. I want this spring. There we go, like that. Okay, so let me hold this. And I kind of got to do it, folks. And then I'm going to stick this in. But to make sure that that spring is up under here. So let me get this first. Alright, and we're going to move. We're going to slide this so that spring. Get them in there. There you get it. I think we got it on the first time, folks. Yes, we did. You see that spring pressure? Usually takes a couple of tries to do this, so it's one of the things you just have to be patient. But look, we got it on the first try. All right, now what we need to do is there's a little hook in here. So we got to move this bar back up to fit up into this catch. Oh, and she's coming out, so she's out too far. No, she's in there. All right. Let me take this out. it slides straight in. On an angle, twist it. It should be flush. Okay, as well as you should see on this end, you should be able to fully turn it. It can really only go in one way, it's just at a funky angle. Okay. Alright, then what we're going to do is we're going to take this bar and we're going to get it into that little slot up in there. We're going to place it into that slot. Once we got it into that slot, we're going to wiggle it into place here by moving this a little forward, folks. There we got what we need. Okay? Leave that right there. Making sure she's in that slot. Okay? You see how she turns freely now? Making sure she's in that slot. Right here. She has to be in that slot. So we have her in our slot. We have our spring level on our slide catch. So the next we're going to do is we're going to straighten this back out and we're going to push it straight in. Voila. Ensuring that we did not take out that safety slide, okay? We didn't have to take out that pin. So there we have it, folks. Our assembly is together. So now, last thing we have to do is we're going to put this FCU back into our slide. So we're going to put it in the same direction. Carefully slide it in. Boom. Snaps in place. Okay. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put that pin back in. Okay, our pin. Remember, we're going to go to the right side. The reason we're going to this right side and show you this, you guys, this early is because there's a little spring there. And as you can see on the inside of here, that's what that spring wraps around and goes to the inside. So if you push this in from the left side, sometime it'll knock that spring out. So then you have to have another step of putting that spring back in there. So we're going to place this back in. We're going to go to the right side. We're going to push our pin in. We have to take our little nylon hammer here. Give it a couple of taps. There we have it, folks. Mission accomplished. All right, let's give a final test. Mission is complete. And this is probably about, depending on how easy it is to get those pieces in, probably a half an hour, 45 minutes. The more you do it, the little bit better you get at actually doing it. So there you have it, folks. Our complete upgrade to our enhanced SIG P365. Alright, folks, we're back, and just as I was finishing this video, guess what came in? Our Wilson Combat grip module. A couple special things about this. Well, some of you know from my previous videos, I am a fan of Wilson Combat. I showed you the AR 16-inch barrel built specifically on Wilson Combat components. I also own a custom Wilson Combat 45 ACP. So they are a quality manufacturer that puts out great gear. So let's go over this quickly. Alright, so this is for the P365. Couple of things. It has the upgraded 1911 beaver tail grip. Alright, which allows for smooth draws. One of the benefits of this grip. It also has a modified back strap shape for more natural point and enhanced grip, okay, as well as the front strap. Okay, so it's undercut or redesigned trigger guard allows you to get the highest possible grip. It has improved grip traction, and this is probably about 50% over the standard SIG. Most importantly, it has internal slots for tungsten weight. So I don't know if you can see this. Inside, we have 3 grooves, which are internal slots for our tungsten's weight, which gives it a really nice balance to it. So let me show you. All right, no weights in it. Balance test. Okay. All right, check this out. Comes with 3 tungsten weights. Well balanced. A great enhancement to your 365. It also comes with the magazine catch. So we already showed you how to swap this out. This is literally a 5-minute job. So only thing I have to do is take out the magazine catch from our previous 365 and we'll show you the finished product. So I'm not going to waste your time showing you how to take it back out because we already showed you that. So be right back. Okay, we're back, and I lied. This was actually a 2-minute exercise, including putting the magazine catch back in our old handguard. So anyway, here we have it. She's complete. Much greater feel. The added weights really makes this feel like a full-size firearm. So next what we're gonna do is take her out to the range and test her. Remember, anytime you do any type of upgrades or enhancements, you always want to test the functionality of your firearm. So with that said, we'll see y'all guys on the next episode. Okay folks, look what just came in. I finally found it after almost a year of searching. I found a gold-plated compression spring for the SIG P365. So this will be the last upgrade for our SIG. Everything has changed except the trigger. And the reason I didn't change out this trigger is because it's one of the greatest stock triggers. I get such great tight groups with this trigger. It's one of those, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I was gonna swap out the trigger, but I decided it is a great trigger for a stock firearm. So we're gonna throw in this and that will complete our upgrade.